I love it when birds don't shut up when you gotta record, but it's so sweltering hot that you just gotta have all the windows down in your car. Fun times. So this video is a continuation of the last video I made. You don't need to watch that one to understand this one, but this video is the second in a 3-part series of how I got to where I am now. This video will go over a brief backstory on my life. It's sorta important context to the third video I'll make in this series. Also, I didn't know what else to call the video. I'd argue I am successful despite how icky I feel calling myself that, but 16-year-old me would be in awe of what I've been able to do. So I'll just run with this title. My life story over the past 7 or so years has been talked about before. I won't repeat the fine details for the sake of time, but I'll talk about the broad picture. In primary school, I was an ethnic minority, and I still am, lol, no race-changing surgery here, in a school with literally only other white kids. Coupled with the fact I looked goofy and was awkward and shy, I wasn't popular, meaning I was a target for bullies. Well, there was one main one, but there was a handful of others here and there. It's so cliche though. Literally every self-improvement YouTuber you hear says that they were bullied in school, yada yada. Nobody was the mid kid or the high school jock, were they? Everyone was the awkward, shy, skinny or fat bullied kid. But it's true in this case. I'm not lying for the sake of relatability. This was my life once upon a time. The main thing I looked forward to each day was playing with my Yu-Gi-Oh cards or Pokemon, when I eventually got into that. In high school, not much changed. I did start playing basketball, which was the first sport I ever really enjoyed. I'll talk about primary school life in another video, but I tried multiple sports. But basketball was the first I truly enjoyed. So I bring that up since I wasn't a total nerd at this point. I played a relatively jock-like sport. But then again, so did many other nerds I saw. So I was still a nerd for all intents and purposes. In year 10, got a girlfriend, which gave me some purpose / something to look forward to, but we broke up / I got dumped like an overvalued stock in a bad earnings call in early 2013, which was when I was year 11. I got fired from my relationship, and back then I had no abs or money, so I was unable to get any new bitches. Got really bad acne from a combination of my genetics, both parents have bad skin, and the fact we went to the Philippines shortly after being dumped. Like my family planned this holiday already, and my ex knew it, hence why I think she pulled the trigger before she left. So she could have fun with this guy who she insisted was just a friend. That's a hilarious story for another time. But yeah, the stress from that made my acne worse, coupled with the heat and humidity in the Philippines, so the acne obviously made me even uglier than I already was. Was basically depressed all of year 11, had no joy, got like essentially cyberbullied from some kids in school at some point since I was so fucking awkward on social media. But at the very least, I remember chatting to a couple of chicks this year. So I was not like totally abandoned. Like, you know when a girl leaves you, but she has another guy / guys like straight away, but you as a dude have like no options no matter how hard you try? Yeah, at least I had a couple. Well, they weren't like girlfriends or hookups or anything, just girls I was talking to. Since I had never even had that before my first girlfriend, albeit these happened several months after the breakup. And several months after our breakup, she was already on another separate boyfriend, lol. One of the chicks I was talking to was some random hoe I found on some social media app called GIF Boom. It was kinda a thing in 2013. I doubt it exists these days. It was like Instagram, but instead of pictures, it was GIFs. There was some other girl who I was kinda set up with through my dead partner, but after a while she stopped replying, which was odd, and another friend of mine let it slip that she was only talking to me for the attention. Ouch. Oh well, sis fumbled the bag big time. And then there was some other girl I'd known for ages who saw me in town later that year. First time we'd seen each other since we were like a lot younger. We chat later that night, and for a few weeks after that. Again, had spoken to like 0 girls before 2012. So this was new, relatively uncharted territory for me. And this was like after my acne had kinda cleared up. So if I still had that acne, I doubt I'd get the same response. I went on Roaccutane at some point. I believe it was early year 12, but maybe it was some point in year 11. So that cleared up my acne, but I still have those scars to this day. Kinda hurts my facial aesthetics, but I may look at laser scar treatment later on. I could also just use light makeup, like light foundation whenever I go on a date or have some important photos. I know other Asian dudes use this makeup. Tails, a Black Pill channel, talks about it here and there, but I'll consider that in due time. I almost got fired from my supermarket job this year too, which I briefly mentioned in my Gail Lewis video, story for another time. In year 12, the depression got much better / went away, was due to a combination of just year 12 being a good year overall, like everyone was mates now, no cyberbullying, no bullying, none of that nonsense. But I also had a class at a nearby girls' school which helped my social life. I also had a glow up around this time. There is a clear difference in my school photos, and the extra attention from girls also made that obvious. I didn't get every girl in existence noticing me, but there was way more attention than usual. But that could also be due to the fact that I was actually interacting with more than 2 girls for the first time ever. So naturally, as you know / meet more girls, the number of girls that find you appealing also increases, since you're bound to run into someone that likes your style. Now, I contribute the glow up to 4 things. 1. Puberty. Most people naturally look better as they age anyway. 2. Roaccutane. The removal of bad acne helps. Like, you guys have no clue how bad it was. Like in 2015, when I visited my auntie in the Philippines, the first thing she says when she saw me at the airport was, "No acne?" Like circling her face, because that's how she remembered me. An acne-riddled pizza face. And she did the broad shoulder thing too, like, you've gained a lot of muscle. Because at this point, I had put on size. Not much, but since I was such a twink back in 2013 when I visited last, anything extra would be considered putting on good size. Although when I say I hadn't put on much muscle, that may not entirely be true. I had a lot of fat on me back then, since I remember weighing 89.45 kilos one day when I stepped on the scales at the gym. Now yes, this wasn't directly after waking up, but it's not like any more than 2 kilos of that weight was food / an unshattered shit in my rectum. For reference, I'm around that weight now, 89 kilos, in 2024, 9 years on, and I most definitely am carrying a lot more muscle now, despite being around the same weight. Additionally, I never used the following pics in any of my body transformation related videos, since I totally forgot this existed, but I remembered when writing this script that I had photos from a gym session in the Philippines on my personal Instagram, not the gamification of life one. Cause, I'm not some algorithm robot, I'm an actual person behind this brand. But anyway, here are some snaps from a gym session I had in the Philippines. Since at this point I was super gym obsessed, I kept nagging mum to find a gym while we were over there. Only went once, cause it was super inconvenient to go, but as you can see, I'm definitely no twink. Maybe I did make some good gains in my first proper year of being in an actual gym after all. It's just that I screwed it up in 2016 by cutting too hard. Or it could be I look huge due to the higher body fat percentage and good lighting. So yeah, auntie sees me for the first time in 2.5 years. First things she notices, no acne, still at acne scars, but obviously they're not as bad as the pimple pizza I had going on with my face before, and broad shoulders. Apologies for the tangent, but I felt it was relevant. Case in point, no / less acne helps your glow up. 3. Depression gone. I feel that once the sadness has left, you have a new glow to you. At least that's what I noticed. And last, and most importantly, and most underratedly, I contribute the glow up to sleeping on my back. What do I mean by this? Long story short, I wanted to be 4 centimeters taller. I was 182 centimeters at the time, still am, but 186 centimeters puts me around the same height as some of the other guys I knew. And 4 centimeters at the time was enough of a difference for me to grab the ring in basketball. Plus, Ziz was 186 centimeters tall. At that point in my life, I wanted to be just like Ziz. So that's why I wanted an extra 4 centimeters. I fell for the nonsense of hanging off a bar makes you taller and all that shit, but one of the methods was to sleep on your back. since that stretches out your spine, since gravity, you know? Obviously, it's only temporary, but naive, desperate 17-year-old me fell for it, since before that I'd sleep on my side. However, an unintended side effect was most likely my tongue resting on the palate, which is a common thing in mewing these days. I cannot 100% confirm this, since I don't have enough close-up photos from back then, other than my school photos, since obviously I was insecure with my appearance most of my life. But it just makes a lot of sense. My face was quite different from the year prior, and the only major thing that changed, other than less acne, which was kind of photoshopped off the school photos anyway, was my sleeping style. Regardless, I suggest sleeping on your back for spine health anyway. Also, tip 5, a tan. I was also darker in my year 12 photos as opposed to my year 11 one. A tan generally helps in Western beauty standards anyway. I know in Korea, Japan, the Philippines, probably the rest of Asia too, being more pale is more appealing, but you just gotta play to your server. Here in Australia, tans are more attractive. So, spend more time in the sun, within moderation of course, don't get melanoma or spend too much time to the point it wrinkles your skin, but definitely consider a tan. Although if you're already dark then this tip doesn't help. And I know a fair few of my pasty friends who only sunburn. Since I'm half Asian, I'm naturally a little more pale, but I can tan easy. Like, cause I'm half white, so I'm obviously not fully dark, if that makes sense. That's why I'm more naturally pale, but I do tan very easy. It takes me like a good week of good sun exposure to get a good tan. Anyway, moving along. So life was looking up in 2014. In 2015, I started uni, and this was my first year in an actual gym. This was a fun year. Passed all my exams, and finally joined a proper gym. Didn't make much progress, but can't change that now, can I? At one point this year, I wasn't getting any supermarket shifts, but that changed after a while, so the employment situation got better in this year too. 2016, I had a shit year of uni, which has been talked about before, but also another shit year of progress in the gym. However, I did get super lean/skinny, my first proper cut, and I got good at chin-ups/weighted pull-ups at this point. So the foundations for two key parts of my physique, a large back and being lean, were sown in 2016. At this point in my life, I was still playing a fair bit of video games. I was playing a decent amount here and there and throughout the years, namely Pokemon and older games from my childhood. This will become relevant later on. In 2017, I almost got kicked out of uni because my grades were so shit. Like, in 2 consecutive trimesters, I failed 6 out of 8 exams. But at the very least, I finally got somewhere with gym. Spent the summer seriously considering my career, and in 2018, I started taking my career seriously. 2018, I also secured 20 hours per week at the supermarket. I had 15 before that, and before that, I had 10. And when we transitioned to a new manager, he forgot to give me 15 hours. This was back in 2017. He only realized after someone else said it to him. I had to ditch a social basketball team I was playing in at the time, since those were the only hours he had available. So securing 20 hours a week was like, I don't know, somewhere around the $500 to $600 mark at the time, per week, which was really good money for me as a uni student at that point in time. Also got my first accounting job, so things were turning around. Also packed on some solid size this year too. I'm actually finally getting somewhere with gym, money and career. Took me long enough. 2019, lost that first job I had, got another one later in the year, after many interviews and applications. Finished my degree, bunch of other shit happened this year too, but for the sake of this video, good progress was made in this year too. In 2020, I lost the second job I ever had, got extremely discouraged, but thankfully I had a home gym during lockdowns, or I have no idea how I would have survived. And in 2021, the current grind started, the rest is history. So that quick backstory is to paint the picture from where I came from. I wasn't born into a Chad family with money who taught me the path in life. I had to learn all of this myself. The best career advice I was given was go to uni, which I would have done anyway since I knew I wanted a desk job from an early age. My dad is a tradie, and I helped him with tradie shit as a kid. Fucking hated it. But even then, I was given no prompts on what career to go into. Had to figure that out myself. And the only reason I was told uni was a good idea was because mum did most of the raising. And since she's from the Philippines, which is very Americanized, the old school American thought was to go to college no matter what. Now people are wising up to the fact that college/uni isn't always the best case. Trades are a great way of making a living, especially with how expensive university/college is these days. Be wary of the wear and tear on your body though. Relying on retirement funds is not a good idea. If you're immersed in the stock market like I am, you're aware of government mismanagement of funds, as well as pension/superannuation fund mismanagement too, which is why I don't put any extra money into my retirement fund, regardless of what tax benefits I get out of it. My desk job has virtually no wear and tear on my body, so I can work until I'm 80 plus years old, so I don't have to rely on a retirement fund. If your body falls apart at 55, in some cases I've seen people in the trades breaking down by 45, you have a lot of life left to live, usually. So you're relying on the money you've stashed away, which has been looked after by someone else. And since your body is falling apart, you can't work much longer. Not the safest move. Just look at what happened to the retirees in the 2008 global financial crisis. Now, yes, we probably won't have one that bad again, but your retirement amount tanking in value is entirely possible given the lack of integrity and financial literacy from those working in retirement funds and governments. But that's a video for another time. So yeah, anyway, no career direction given to me, not much in the way of money either. The best money advice I was given was term deposits, which was good when I first heard about it from mum as a kid, but it's incredibly outdated. No gym advice either, since neither of my parents were gym rats. Sure as hell no stock/real estate advice, and no business/brand advice either, although in their defense, the only way to become a celebrity/build a well-known brand name back in the day was to be an actor/singer/CEO of a big company. It wasn't possible for the common man to become well-known, as is the case with social media today. So, I had to learn these 5 stats myself, and I had no direction either. So that's what we'll go over in the next video. I will talk about how I ended up on my current path after being on the wrong path for so long. Now, usually I'd lump these into the same video, but I'm going to try and have shorter videos since I'm gunning for that monetization goal, and I need the watch time. And I can't help but feel people aren't likely to click on a video that's like an hour plus long, but they may click on 2 separate videos that are 30 minutes each. But either way, in the next video, I'll mention how I got on track. Thanks for watching, see you in the next one.